But guys, I want to ask you about the man who's been on the wires last night and in the papers today. He could be Celtic's new, well, he's a football doctor. He says his name is Paul Tisdale. I didn't know anything about him really, but he is a football, well, he's been at Exeter City. Peter?
I know Paul. He used to be at Southampton, right, and all that as well. Exeter for a long time. You'll know him because he likes to dress dapper.
He wears the trilby hat, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Like
bit chocolate, I would say. That's probably how you would describe it, because he was always smart. But I think there was a reason behind that. I think one of his friends,
Ray Kelvin, Ted Baker.
Yeah, and that was one of his friends who used to wear the gear for them and all that.
His first shop was in Glasgow. Stephen's looking. The first Ted Baker.
I was just going to say, of course you do.
No, his first
he was in Mallorca last week.
Yeah, no, but the first one ever was in Glasgow. And his name's Ray Kelvin, but he thought, in case this doesn't work, I won't call it that. He called it Ted Baker, and it's so sad jobs have gone because of, it's gone now. But so he's an associate of,
yes, and he was
Ray
very
Kelvin.
much. That was where he stood at the side of the pitch, because you always used to look at about it. And when you see somebody a little bit different, you'd always question, say, well, he better. It was like a footballer wearing coloured boots. You used to say he better be a good player, So he was very fortunate he was at Exeter, because Stevie Perriman, remember the old Tottenham camp? Great. Stevie was the sort of main man down there, and the way they tried to play. And Exeter's not easy to get players down to as well, but they tried to get them to play, and the team was played the, people would say, the correct way. They tried to play football or football side, maybe a Tottenham background in that, and then a Southampton background. So they tried to do that, and Steve was a very good backer for him. So it wasn't really down to the results with Paul. It was performances and attracting people down there, even though he got good results. But I don't know he was a football doctor.
What is a football doctor?
I don't know.
Stephen? So you've come up against him as well?
I think he's a self-proclaimed. He is a bit eccentric.
I always worry a wee bit when somebody says I'm a football doctor. He
was.
Right.
I mean, as Peter said, he was. I mean, I was at Wycombe in League 2 in a era where 23 of the teams were long ball football, and Paul Tisdale's Exeter played really good football. I think it's got a bit better. I think they play a bit more football. It's a bit more cultured than it was even 7 or 8 years ago. But there was a bit of a rivalry because, I mean, Wycombe were, Gareth Ainsworth's Wycombe were extra long ball. I mean, as I said, I failed miserably because I just couldn't do it. They totally missed out the midfield. But the Exeter was the one game I knew for a fact I would play in, because we would match up in the diamond, and it would be more of a football game. But he used to slaughter Wycombe in the pressing lead up to games. But a quite young Ollie Watkins used to play centre midfield.
Did you play against him?
Yeah, we played directly against him one game. Spoke about, met Ollie a couple of times down at Villa, and spoke about he was a box to box midfielder. I think it was when he went to Brentford they identified him kind of a bit further up the park and became a left winger, and ultimately became a striker, scoring at international and Champions League level. But
and he remembered playing against you. He did.
Yeah, he showed him the stud marks on
Ollie
the back.
Watkins.
we beat them. We beat them 1-0. I scored. Ran off for it. But in a couple of weeks I'll be drinking a couple of pints of lager, watching Ollie lead the line in the Champions League. So
McGinn scores. Stephen McGinn scores. Ollie Watkins is on the sliding doors.
But my reading on it, it seems to be really data driven. He seems to be data driven. So my take on that is, if I'm asking Peter's opinion on a player, I would say it as a football eye, where he's been watching games and he knows what he's. When it's data, my reading of data is you've got a system, and it's nothing to do with watching any football. It's almost just like you've got a read of the system. So it's hard for me to comment on what I think of him. His team always played really good football, but I feel that's got nothing to do with he is. It's just his knowledge of the system and what they're looking for data wise.